Hello everyone and welcome to Thought Soup. This is episode number 17. Today I'm going to talk about religion's relevance in 2022. So religion comes from the Latin religium, which means respect for the sacred and reverence for the gods. Okay, so that's just to put it back into its original meaning and context. So I think religions probably came about to explain the various phenomena we witness even in our daily life. So many things we didn't understand, like fire and the wind and tides and the stars. And so it made sense, since we couldn't explain any of it, it actually made sense to say, well, there's the God of the wind and there's the God of the stars, if there's anything like that, and so on. And we just made something up to give sense to what we're witnessing. So we could actually fit it into our little box up here so that we could maybe understand. And if not, then it had, this is the God of the wind explanation, or this is Poseidon, the God of the sea explanation, right? So many phenomenons generated many gods. For every single thing that there was an equivalent God that took care of that specific thing. And that went on for quite a while, until at some point, nobody really knows who, but at some point, someone or some people decided there is only one God. This happened in a certain region of the world, which gave birth, of course, to, Judaism and Christianity and Islam. They're all religion of the book, as they're called, and they have a common referral to a one God that rules them all. That kind of reminds me of Lord of the Ring. So why would they do that? Well, I think, for one thing, it did make things simpler. There's only one God. There's no more disputes between the gods. There's no more hierarchies. There is one God. That's it. End of discussion. Hope you like it. And God bless. The other possibility is that early mystics, early humans that did realize the true nature of awareness, of realization, saw and experienced the oneness. And to express this oneness in the times they were living in, they probably decided there is only one God. Does make sense. You always have to put back everything into its context. So the language of the time was many gods, and they came out and said, hey, dudes, there's only one God. I've experienced it. So from that point on, history goes on its merry way. And there are some pros and cons to this one God. Now, the pros obviously gave rules. It gave rules of behavior. So maybe we had barbaric ways beforehand. Maybe, probably not actually. That's not what history, scientific history points out to. But let's assume it did give rules, the 10 commandments, thou shalt not do blah, 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 all this stuff. It makes sense, right? It gives a little bit of coherence to larger groups necessary. Probably helped in being a bit nicer to one another. Instead of clubbing each other on the head, maybe being nicer. And for sure, it did help on the charity side. Right? Being more charitable towards other brothers and sisters. And that's absolutely positive, obviously. Now, the cons, I think the number one con, which then gives a series of other ones, is that the messages were completely misunderstood by the masses, by everyone involved. Completely misunderstood. And that misunderstanding brought, among other things, millions of deaths. It brought, we're going to kill you in the name of our Lord. It's incredibly stupid, incredibly stupid. And yet it happened, and it probably happens still today to some degree. Although maybe not officially like that. It developed intolerance, incredible intolerance. It also developed deviations, a lot of deviations. Some people think they're the one, the chosen people, whatever that is. Absurd concept. Completely stupid, in my opinion. Other deviations in Christianity. A lot of priests are pedophiles. That's a reality. Lots of kids are getting touched or worse, raped. And the organizations themselves protect these criminals. So we can see there's, thanks, in air quotes, to religions, there's been a lot of deviations. All of them, I should say, because they've been misunderstood. People were not ready to understand the deeper meaning of what the prophets actually said. It was transcribed much later, etc., etc. So out of all this, the biggest problem as I see it is that a God identity was created by us. We created it. A God identity. Just like we have an identity, we think we're this and we're that, and we believe, in all our thoughts, they're our thoughts, and I've talked about this before. We did exactly the same thing in creating a God identity. We go insofar as, and we write, He is watching you. His plan, His divine plan, His creation, His creations. We even gave it a sex. It's a him, of course. But the absurdity would be the same if it was a her. It doesn't matter. So we can see that we're basically just monkeys, very simple primates with intelligence, with self-awareness, and we're just bringing that ego onto a God concept. Do you see the problem here? So, my opinion, my sense of it all, is that as humanity evolves, formal religions will disappear. Formal worship will disappear as we evolve emotionally, socially, and especially spiritually. So awareness goes beyond religious concepts. Awareness goes beyond any kind of God or theories. You cannot encapsulate it. You can't even talk about it. Not really. Like I always say, how can you know how a strawberry tastes if you've never had a strawberry in your life? You can't. Awareness is the same thing. It's something that is experienced, and it cannot be explained because words are limiting. Words are concepts, and the concepts are differently interpreted by each person. So we go down a rabbit hole and it becomes very, very, very difficult. So realization is egoless. It's completely selfless. There is no I. There is no individuality that exists separately from reality. So from that, a separate God cannot exist. It does not exist. Not how it is understood by the masses and how it has been interpreted and taught by the religious institutions. That is false. So once humanity, I should say, experiences life beyond the veil of ego and we actually experience reality, religions will disappear without any wars, without any fuss. Religions will disappear just like any tool that has served its purpose. That's it. It will be natural. But until then, I believe religion has a role to play. Definitely. But it must evolve. It cannot stay in those archaic concepts which enclose the mind and tends to want to control. So religion has its place until humanity evolves beyond it. Well, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed it. It was a little bit longer than I thought. Next week, I'll be back on Friday, and I'll talk about, I can't remember what I'll talk about. Let me check. Be right back. I finally found it. I'll be talking about shame and guilt and how those are used to control societies, which is kind of a segue to religions, isn't it? Until then, have a good week. Thank you. Bye-bye.